Okay, great. So all the recordings are good. Recording here, recording there, recording there, recording there. Sweet. We have these 5 core human senses, and touch, taste, and smell are things that we don't have the ability to do when it comes to these like films and things like that. We only have these 2 human senses that we can use. And I think as visual creatures, we automatically go visuals. And then we then eventually get to sound. But there's so much more to crafting a human story than just incredible images. In sound design, we have multiple layers and things that we think about. We think of it top down, where we think what's the most effective sounds and then go down to the ones that are least noticeable. We have ambiences, so that's wind and hum of a refrigerator, things that just really tie full scenes together. We have hard effects. These are things that traditionally are pulled from libraries, whether we record them or buy these libraries. These are door shut, car engine starting up. Then we have Foley. That's all the stuff that you touch. So those are feet, those are hands, those are things we touch. It's the cloth on us. And so we're trying to just make sure that those things are just crystal clear. And Foley's like an element of performance. And then lastly, we have something that we do a lot of, and sometimes people lump it into hard effects. I consider it kind of its own category, and that's emotional effects. Those are booms, hits, scrapes, things that like try to elicit emotion. So first, let's watch some of these things with those layers in mind. So the very first thing I want to show is the music, and I want you to just there's no sound design in this yet, but just kind of appreciate how good this edit is. And this is just with the music. So here we go. By the way, this piece is called Lion from director Steve Solano. So that's music. We're going to do that exact same part. And we're going to play the Foley. And one thing you're going to notice about the Foley is that this, in something like this, where Foley is very difficult to discern because there's so many layers on top of that Foley, and we're trying to make it punch. This Foley is going to be very punchy and sharp and on purpose, because the only way to get it to cut through all the stuff you're going to hear added to it is to make it very sharp. And that's a stylistic approach. If we were working on a film and it was a 10-minute long scene, we would craft the Foley in a completely different way or perform that than we would here. So here's what that sounds like with Foley only. So relatively minor, like it's stuff that we just need to have that character of that realism in this to be able to really sell that it's real, because we're about to add some things to it. So let's listen to some emotional effects. When we're thinking about emotional effects, we're thinking almost like a composer. And one thing that we think a lot about is frequency spectrum. When I hear kind of new sound designers, what will happen is that all of the sound design gets built up in the low and the mids, because we think if in order to be epic, we need to make it low, rumbles, explosions, like low stuff, because low means epic. And that's not the case. Epic is the use of darkness and light and color, and we think of the same thing in sound design. So with all that stuff in mind, I'm going to replay the full mix of the entire piece again. And what I want you to be listening for is dynamic range, loud, soft, frequencies, high pitch, low pitch, and realize that not all this is an epic piece, but realize all those frequencies are not in the low end, because it's just mud there. And so we are doing our fair amount of low and low mid punch. But to really get punch, you have to use frequencies. And if you just use a frequency here, maybe we use a different tonality and frequency right after it, or vice versa. I also love the narration here. The human voice is so massively underrated. There's so much nuance that happens in the way that our voices sing our words. And this narrator's incredible. And that narration when someone's working at such a high level, and when the director picked this and kind of going to this level, it sets the tone between the music and all this stuff, and it's just such a clear blueprint. But there's so much, just minus the words, there's just so much sonic beauty in the way that this voiceover's singing. So let's listen to this entire thing.
Lions are an ever-present danger. They are intelligent hunters, plotting their attack with precision. But for all their speed, lions still need the element of surprise.
Don't think about workflow in a sense that we've all been told for 50 years on the way that you do the project in order. And for one more example, I want to show you a piece that we sound designed this. We did 3 versions of the sound design on this with voices before they even shot the project. So this is with Wyden Kennedy, and it's a Nike spot. And they came to us and they said, we want this to be super sound designy. It's going to be sound design driven. There's going to be no music. Peace out, we'll see you in 2 months. And I was like, whoa. So what's important here is that if it's sound designy, it needs to be sound designy from day one. So I was like, send us the script. We're going to build this out right now. We got the script. We saw it. There were voices in there. I was like, get your copywriters to record this banter back and forth just with your iPhone or whatever. Like, give us something to craft. So we did 60-second, like 3 different versions of this 60-second thing where we built the entire thing out. And then we semi-approved that with the agency before they ever even went to the shoot. So when they went to the shoot, they were able to get the DP on board. The entirety of the crew knew what this 60 seconds was going to sound like. So I want to play this for you. Again, this is what can happen when you want something to be sound design driven, but you break the traditional workflow.
Gentlemen, the Kawhi question: offensive or defensive genius? Offense, you may proceed.
Thank you. Contention 1 is Kawhi gets buckets. The evidence substantiates a domination of all rounds. ISOs, post-ups, daggers off the dribble, fadeaway game winners. Contention 2, check the points and check the points again.
Defense, the floor is yours.
Contrary to the offensive rhetoric, it's the Quiet Storm's lockdown D that towers supreme. He's led the league in steals and defensive ratings. The claw's like a supernova black hole, a shutdown corner, or a game-altering paradigm shift that silenced his entire team.
But the man has hit game-winning dagger after game-winning dagger.
But he has more steals than fouls.
Yeah, but it's the threes that he makes that make the coaches think he runs on anti-freeze.
He's the reigning 2-time defensive player of the year.
But his dunks, though?
He's everywhere on the court.
But his dunks, though.
Lockdown.
True shooting percent.
Who can he not guard?
Gentlemen, consider a hypothetical question. Could Kawhi get buckets on Kawhi?
I just want to challenge everybody everyone to treat themselves as a sound designer. We are creatives. There's no one that needs to give you permission. I don't need to come and say, it's okay that you go mess with sound. Mess with sound. By all means, when we hear someone's best attempt at sound design, it inspires us.